Your kidneys are quietly working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, filtering every single drop of blood in your body, and most people are destroying them without even knowing it. Today, I'm going to reveal 5 foods that, when eaten too often and in excess, can seriously damage your kidney health. And trust me, number 5 is going to surprise you. But first, why should you even care about your kidneys? Here's the thing most people don't realize. Your kidneys are not just organs. They are elite filtration machines. Your body has 5 major detox systems: the liver, the skin, the intestines, the lungs, and the kidneys. Together, these 5 systems form what we call the emunctories, the gatekeepers between the outside world and your internal environment. Their job? To hunt down toxins, neutralize them, and kick them out of your body before they make you sick. And your kidneys? They do this through urine. Every time you go to the bathroom, your kidneys have just saved your life a little bit. But here's what makes this even more critical. Your kidney health is directly and intimately connected to your heart health. When your kidneys start to fail, your heart starts to struggle too. And that connection runs straight through something called arterial hypertension, high blood pressure. So when you damage your kidneys, you're not just attacking one organ, you're putting your entire cardiovascular system at risk. That's how serious this is. All right, let's get into it. 5 foods that are silently wrecking your kidneys. Number 1, processed deli meats and cured meats, salami, ham, bacon, sausages, hot dogs. These foods are everywhere, in your sandwiches, on your pizza, at your breakfast table. And while people often worry about the protein or the fat content, the real villain here is something far more dangerous: salt, specifically sodium. Here's the science, and it's absolutely fascinating. When you consume too much sodium, your kidneys go into what I call water hoarding mode. They start retaining water instead of releasing it. That means you urinate less. And when you urinate less, water starts accumulating inside your bloodstream. Your blood volume increases. More fluid, more pressure, more stress on your entire vascular system. Now imagine the impact of that on your heart. Your heart now has to pump harder, with more force and more power, to push all of that extra blood through your veins, arteries, and capillaries. And that extra force? That's exactly what we call high blood pressure, hypertension, the silent killer that your doctor measures with that cuff around your arm every time you visit the clinic. Now here's where it gets really scary for your kidneys specifically. Your kidneys are not just one big filter. They are made up of millions of microscopic structures called glomeruli. These tiny, delicate filters are incredibly sensitive to pressure. Think about it this way. Imagine taking a standard coffee filter and forcing an enormous, powerful jet of water through it at full blast. What happens? The filter tears, it shreds apart, and suddenly nothing gets filtered properly anymore. That is exactly what happens to your glomeruli when you have chronic high blood pressure fueled by excessive sodium intake. Over time, and I want to be very clear, this happens over months and years, not overnight. Those tiny filters get damaged progressively, silently, until your kidneys can no longer do their job efficiently. Now, to be fair, eating a few slices of dry sausage at a party once a month is not going to destroy your kidneys on its own. But if processed meats are a daily staple in your diet, combined with chips, crackers, bouillon cubes, and all the other ultra-processed sodium bombs that fill modern grocery stores, that's where the real danger lies. It's the accumulation that kills. It's the habit, not the occasional indulgence. Number 2, sugary drinks. This one is massive, and I mean absolutely massive, because sugary drinks are everywhere. Sodas, energy drinks, fruit juices, flavored teas, sports drinks, and they are consumed in staggering quantities every single day by millions of people who have no idea what they're doing to their kidneys. Let me walk you through the mechanism, because once you understand it, you will never look at a can of soda the same way again. When you drink something loaded with sugar, that sugar gets absorbed into your bloodstream after digestion. This causes what we call a spike in glycemia, a surge in your blood sugar levels. Now, your body absolutely hates this. High blood sugar, hyperglycemia, is genuinely dangerous, and your body knows it. So it launches an emergency response to bring those sugar levels back down. One of the key strategies it uses? Dump the excess sugar into your urine and flush it out fast. But here's where the kidneys get dragged into the chaos. Sugar has a property called osmosis. It attracts water like a magnet. You've probably seen this in real life. Drop a sugar cube into your coffee and watch the liquid get pulled upward into the cube. That's osmosis in action. So when your kidneys start flushing excess sugar out through urine, that sugar drags extra water along with it. The result? You urinate far more than normal. Your kidneys are working in overdrive. Now, the first problem is obvious. Your kidneys are getting exhausted. They're being pushed to their limits repeatedly, every single day, every time you reach for that can of soda. But the second problem is even more alarming. If you're constantly spiking your blood sugar with sugary drinks, you are relentlessly hammering an organ called the pancreas, the organ responsible for producing insulin, the hormone that manages your blood sugar. Abuse the pancreas long enough and you develop type 2 diabetes. And here's the devastating part. Diabetes is the #1 risk factor for chronic kidney disease in the entire world. Not one of the risk factors, the #1 risk factor. And then there's the vicious cycle that traps millions of people without them even realizing it. You drink a sugary beverage, your kidneys flush it out, taking extra water with it. You become dehydrated, you feel thirsty, and what do you reach for when you're thirsty? Another sugary drink. And the cycle repeats, faster, harder, more destructively each time. I want to be honest with you here. One glass of cola is not going to kill your kidneys. But 3 cans a day, every day for years, that is a completely different story. And the insidious thing about liquid calories and sugary drinks is that they don't fill you up. They don't satisfy hunger. So it's incredibly easy to drink enormous quantities without even noticing. Pay attention to this habit. It might be the most underestimated threat to your kidney health in modern nutrition. Number 3, artificial sweeteners. Now, this is the one that tends to shock people the most, especially those who thought they were making a healthy swap. So what exactly is an artificial sweetener? It's an ingredient that tastes sweet, sometimes intensely, overwhelmingly sweet, but contains 0 calories. It's essentially a chemical impersonator of sugar. Some sweeteners are relatively natural, like stevia or xylitol, but many are entirely synthetic, and the 2 most notorious ones are sucralose and aspartame. You'll find these ingredients hiding in almost every light, zero, diet, or no added sugar product on the market. Yogurts, sodas, protein bars, flavored waters, chewing gum, the list goes on and on. And for decades, people have been told these alternatives are safe, that switching from regular Coca-Cola to Coca-Cola Zero is a smart, healthy decision. But here's what the science is increasingly showing us, and what the food industry desperately doesn't want you to focus on. The problem with artificial sweeteners isn't necessarily what they do in isolation. When researchers study aspartame alone, at small doses, the results can seem relatively benign. But that's not how real life works. That's not how your body works. In reality, you're not consuming aspartame in a vacuum. You're consuming it as part of what scientists call the cocktail effect. You're mixing it with dozens of other food additives, medications, environmental pollutants, preservatives, and chemicals, all interacting with each other inside your body in ways that are extraordinarily complex and still not fully understood. And when it comes to your kidneys specifically, the data is deeply concerning. Scientific research has shown that consuming as little as 2 servings of artificially sweetened sodas per day can significantly accelerate the rate of kidney function decline. 2 servings. That's not an extreme amount. For many people, that's just Tuesday. And beyond the kidneys, let me tell you something I tell my patients all the time. Switching from a liter of regular Coca-Cola to a 1.5 liters of Coca-Cola Zero is not progress. It's just trading one problem for another. Yes, you've reduced the caloric impact, fine, but you've introduced a whole new set of risks to your kidneys, to your gut microbiome, to those trillions of precious bacteria living in your intestines that are absolutely essential for your immune system, your mood, your digestion, and your long-term health. The real solution is not to find a chemical substitute for sugar. The real solution is to gradually break free from the grip of sugar altogether. And that might mean exploring some of the incredible alternatives that nature has already given us. Fresh mint leaves, ginger, lemon juice, rosemary, hibiscus, drinks that you can make at home in minutes, that are genuinely refreshing and delicious, and that don't come with a hidden invoice for your kidneys. Number 4, alcohol. When people think about alcohol and organ damage, the liver almost always takes center stage. And yes, chronic, excessive alcohol consumption will destroy your liver and potentially lead to cirrhosis. That's absolutely real and absolutely serious. But today I want to pull back the curtain on alcohol's hidden war against your kidneys, because it's a story most people have never heard. To understand this, you need to know something remarkable about how your body controls urination. And it's genuinely counterintuitive. You might assume that at rest your body has no urge to urinate, and that some signal comes along to trigger the need. But it's actually the complete opposite. Your body's natural default state is to urinate constantly, non-stop, without ever pausing, like a faucet that just never turns off. To prevent this from happening, your brain continuously manufactures a hormone called vasopressin, also known as the antidiuretic hormone. Vasopressin's entire job is to send one message to your body over and over all day long: don't urinate, hold it, not yet. It's a fascinating system, and alcohol absolutely demolishes it. Here's what happens when you drink. Alcohol blocks the production of vasopressin. The signal telling your body to hold its urine gets weaker and weaker with every drink. And the result? You urinate far more frequently and far more copiously than you normally would. If you've ever spent a night drinking beer and made what felt like 17 trips to the bathroom, now you know exactly why. But here's the dangerous part. While you're busy losing all that fluid through excessive urination, you're not replenishing your water stores, and your body desperately needs water at that moment to process and neutralize the alcohol you just consumed. The result is severe dehydration. Less water in the body means less water available for your kidneys to work with, which means your kidneys are producing highly concentrated urine. And highly concentrated urine, produced repeatedly over time, puts enormous strain on your renal function. But alcohol, especially dark spirits like whiskey, rum, and brandy, has a second weapon against your kidneys that's equally destructive. It dramatically increases the production of something called uric acid. You might know uric acid from its most famous consequence, gout, that excruciating, debilitating pain in the joints, particularly the big toe. But beyond gout, excessive uric acid in your kidneys triggers intense inflammation. And inflammation, sustained and repeated, is one of the most effective ways to progressively destroy your kidney tissue. Now here's the practical, real-world solution that I personally use and that I wish I had discovered 10 years earlier. Every single time you're at a bar and you're about to order another drink, a cocktail, a beer, a glass of wine, whatever it is, you order a small glass of water alongside it. You drink the water first. Then you take your drink back to your table, every single round, without exception. Do this consistently, and the morning after headaches become a distant memory. Those dark orange, almost brown urine colors the morning after a big night, gone. And your kidneys, working quietly behind the scenes, never complaining, never asking for thanks, will be profoundly, genuinely grateful. Number 5, almonds. I saved this one for last specifically because I knew it would catch you off guard. You came here expecting me to attack sugar, salt, additives, and alcohol, all the usual suspects. And yes, we covered those. But I wanted to finish with something that challenges assumptions. Because sometimes even the healthiest foods can become dangerous when consumed in excess or in the wrong context. Almonds have an incredible nutritional profile: healthy fats, omega-3 fatty acids, vitamins, minerals, fiber. As a nutritionist with over a decade of experience, I genuinely love nuts and seeds as a food group. They are remarkable. But almonds contain something called oxalate, and at normal, reasonable quantities, oxalate is not a problem. Your body handles it fine. The issue arises when you consistently consume very high amounts of oxalate, and here's the critical trigger, combined with very high amounts of calcium. When oxalate and calcium meet in excess inside your intestines, the combination can become toxic. And if you know anyone with chronic kidney disease, or if you've ever spoken to a nephrologist, you've probably heard them warn their patients to be careful with calcium intake. Here's exactly why. That toxic oxalate-calcium fusion doesn't stay in your intestines. It enters your bloodstream, gets carried to your kidneys for filtration, and then something alarming happens. It forms crystals. Hard, sharp, microscopic crystals. And those crystals can block the tiny tubules inside your kidneys, the microscopic channels through which filtered fluids must pass. When those tubules get blocked, kidney function deteriorates, gradually, silently, but relentlessly. Now, I want to be precise here because this is not a reason to panic and throw out every almond in your kitchen. This risk is most significant for people who already have kidney disease, particularly hereditary forms of renal insufficiency, and for people who are consistently combining very high oxalate foods with very high calcium foods over long periods of time. For the average healthy person eating a handful of almonds a day, this is not an emergency. But the smart preventive approach, and this is what I recommend to all my clients, is to diversify your nut consumption. Don't eat almonds every single day by default. Build a beautiful, varied rotation. Walnuts, hazelnuts, almonds, pistachios, peanuts, pecans, cashews, unsalted and unroasted, please. Alternate between them. Some days walnuts, some days pistachios, some days a little mix of everything. Because this principle of dietary diversity is one of the most powerful and most underappreciated tools in nutrition. And it applies even to foods with a stellar, healthy reputation. Take turmeric, absolutely extraordinary for your immune system, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, genuinely remarkable. But during the pandemic, people started consuming it in truly astronomical quantities, convinced that more was always better. Turmeric at the right dose is excellent. Turmeric in massive excess becomes harmful. The dose makes the poison, always. It's the same with water. 1.5 liters per day, essential, life-giving, perfect. 5 liters per day, genuinely dangerous, potentially fatal. And yet nothing on earth is more fundamental to human life than water. Everything is a question of dosage. Everything is a question of balance. Everything is a question of intelligent, consistent habits built over time. So let's bring it all together. 5 foods that can silently wreck your kidneys when consumed in excess. Processed deli meats, because of their massive sodium content and the havoc it wreaks on blood pressure and those delicate glomerular filters inside your kidneys. Sugary drinks, because of the glycemic chaos they create, the relentless strain they put on your kidneys, the pancreatic exhaustion they cause, and the vicious cycle of dehydration they trap you in. Artificial sweeteners, because the cocktail effect of these synthetic chemicals, especially in combination with other additives in your diet, can significantly accelerate kidney function decline. 2 sodas a day is all it takes. Alcohol, because it dismantles the vasopressin system that controls urination, leaves your kidneys working with dangerously concentrated urine, and floods your renal tissue with inflammatory uric acid. And almonds, not because they're bad, but because in excess, combined with high calcium intake, their oxalate content can form kidney-blocking crystals that gradually compromise your renal function. None of these foods need to be completely eliminated from your life. That's not the message. The message is awareness. The message is intention. One indulgence does not define your health, but a pattern of daily excess, repeated for months and years without consciousness, that is what slowly, quietly, invisibly dismantles the most hard-working organs in your body. Take care of your kidneys. They never stop working for you. The very least you can do is return the favor. That's it for today. If you want to go even further, I've also made a complete video on the 10 best foods for cleansing and detoxifying your kidneys naturally. Don't miss it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? See you in the next one.